A mother who had lost her baby wanted to throw the crib in the trash to forget her pain. Her dog Stanley, however, was fighting to protect the most important memory of his life, because he knew the treasure the mother had forgotten. Elena's fingers gripped the white wooden railings tightly. She was going through difficult times. She didn't want to live. The room smelled of dust and old baby powder. This smell made Elena cry constantly. This room was no longer a home. She wanted to get rid of everything. She said to herself, "It is over. Everything is over." She pushed the crib hard toward the door. The crib's wheels made a shrill sound on the parquet floor. The sound broke the deadly silence of the house. Suddenly, a growl rose from the shadows. Her dog Stanley had come into the room. The 10-year-old German Shepherd normally never left Elena's side, but now he stood in front of the door. His body looked tense. He had his head down, his eyes fixed on the crib. Elena said, "Move, Stanley." She spoke in a tired tone. "Stanley, I have to do this." Stanley didn't move. Elena pushed the crib again. At that moment, something shocking happened. Stanley jumped. Despite his old legs, he jumped into the crib, right in the middle. He laid his large body on the mattress. Elena was stunned. "Stanley, get down this instant." The dog opened his mouth threateningly. He growled powerfully. Elena took a step back in fear. Was her most loyal friend who had been by her side for 10 years going to attack her? "Stanley, have you lost your mind?" she shouted. Tears began to stream from her eyes. "That crib is empty. Stanley, it is empty. Leo is gone. He is not coming back. Leo is dead." Elena slammed her fist on the edge of the crib in anger. Stanley barked. He was guarding the crib. As if there were some invisible treasure inside, he wouldn't let anyone near it. Elena sat down where she was, on the cold floor. Even her dog had turned against her. Do you think dogs can sense things that humans can't see or have forgotten? If you've ever witnessed your pet trying to convey a message to you, tell me about it in the comments. Elena ran to the kitchen. With trembling hands, she opened the refrigerator. She took a piece of ham. Stanley would do anything for food. Normally, as soon as he heard the rustle of the package, he would wake up from his sleep and come running. She returned to the room. "Stanley, look what I have here." She threw the ham away from the crib next to the door. The piece of meat fell to the floor. Stanley didn't even lift his head. He had his nose pressed against the edge of the mattress, at the corner where the wooden slats met. He was sniffing it. He was scratching it lightly with his paw. His nails made a rhythmic sound on the wood. Elena misunderstood. "No, don't chew there. That is Leo's crib." Her anger overcame her fear. She lunged forward. She grabbed Stanley's collar. She pulled with all her strength. The dog weighed 40 kilos and stood in the crib like a rock. Elena shouted, "Get out." Stanley suddenly turned his head. He tried to bite Elena's wrist. The sound of teeth clattering echoed through the room. Elena screamed and threw herself backward. Her back hit the wall. This was a warning. Next time he could bite her hand. "Stanley, did you attack me?" Elena whispered. She hadn't experienced anything like this in 10 years. On top of losing her baby, she was traumatized again. She took her phone out of her pocket. She was going to call the vet. Her hands were shaking at that moment. She was very upset. "Dr. Evans, it is Elena. Stanley isn't well. He has become aggressive. I can't get him out of here. I think he is getting old. I don't know, but he is not safe anymore." Stanley raised his head as if he had heard the betrayal in his owner's voice. His eyes were teary and tired. He didn't move. He continued to scratch at the bottom drawer of the crib with his front paw. Elena didn't even notice. She was focused only on the voice on the phone. "Please hurry. I am scared." The rain began to hit the window harder. The veterinarian, whom she thought of as a savior, was on his way. But he was coming to take Stanley away. The dog was racing against time. Dr. Evans entered the room professionally. He had a long capture stick in his hand. His assistant was preparing the tranquilizer needle. "Miss Elena, please leave the room. We don't know what aggressive dogs might do," said Dr. Evans. Elena stood in the doorway. Her heart was breaking. When Stanley saw the stick, he tried to hide in the crate, but he didn't run away. Instead, he pressed his body harder against the edge of the mattress, against that specific spot. "Come on, boy," said Dr. Evans, extending the stick. Stanley barked. This time, it wasn't out of anger. He was barking helplessly. It was as if he was trying to speak. When the tip of the stick touched his neck, Stanley made his final move. Instead of biting, he quickly lowered his head. He grabbed the drawer handle under the crate with his nose. Dr. Evans shouted, "Watch out! He is attacking." But Stanley didn't attack. He threw his head back. The old stuck drawer opened with a clatter. Stanley immediately reached into the drawer. He gently took something in his mouth. It was as if he were holding a baby bird. He dropped it through the bars of the crib. Then he backed away and laid his head on the floor. The thing that fell to the floor was a yellowed envelope. The room fell silent. Only the sound of the rain and Stanley's rapid breathing could be heard. Elena approached slowly. Dr. Evans lowered the stick. Elena picked up the envelope from the floor with trembling hands. It was addressed in her own handwriting, but it was so old that the ink had faded. "Leo, first day," Elena's breath caught. She opened the envelope. Two things came out. There were photos of Leo taken at the hospital. Stanley had found the one Polaroid photo Elena thought she had lost and had been searching for everywhere for months. And on the same piece of paper was a tiny, ink-stained footprint. Elena collapsed where she stood. Her memory came back to her in that moment. Months ago, during those days of chaos and pain, she had put that envelope in a safe place. She had hidden it in the bottom drawer of the crib. Then the grieving process, the medication, and the depression had erased everything. She had forgotten everything. But Stanley hadn't forgotten. Stanley had watched her. He had seen her put that envelope there. When Elena tried to throw away the crib, Stanley had tried to protect not the crib, but that last memory inside it. "Oh my God," Elena began to cry. She pressed the photo to her chest, then she reached her hand through the bars. She stroked Stanley's big head. "I am sorry. Forgive me, son. Forgive me. I made a mistake." Stanley's tail began to tap the mattress slowly, rhythmically. Dr. Evans quietly put the stick in his bag. He signaled to his assistant, "Let's go." They slowly pulled the door shut and left. There was no fear left in the room. Only a mother, a dog, and a recovered memory. The white railings of the crib were no longer a prison. They were a refuge. Elena had placed Stanley's head on her lap. The dog's warmth had erased all the coldness in the room. Elena slowly placed the photo at the head of the crib. "This crib is no longer empty," she thought. "It is filled with memories. I can't throw it away." Stanley took a deep breath, then he closed his eyes. His task was complete. He had protected his mother from both himself and his forgetfulness. Now he could sleep. That day Elena understood something very clearly. Sometimes the greatest pain prevents us from seeing the truth right in front of our eyes. And sometimes our silent friends are the only ones who understand everything we cannot say. Stanley hadn't just saved a photograph. He had saved Elena's heart. Have you ever had a friend in your life who understood you without words? Sometimes all we need is a loyal heart that loves us without judgment. If Stanley's loyalty touched your heart, share this story with your loved ones. And remember, true love doesn't speak, it feels. What do you think about this story? Do you think dogs have strong feelings? Do you have a story like this? I would love to hear your story. See you in the next story. Goodbye.